अभी मौजूद हैं मिस्टर कावे, CEO Broadsheet. Thank you very much, Mr. Maswi, for giving us time. There are some pertinent questions, especially when you see page number 9, page number 11, and then page number 5. So there are some very pertinent questions. First question would be like this conversation, which starts in this 13-page letter, is as mentioned that it has on 5th August. Is this 2018 or 2019?
What's the date of the letter?
So yes, sir.
It's 2018. Yes, 2018.
It's 2019. Okay, so it means that it was almost 1 year of present government in office, led by Mr. Imran Khan Saab. Now,
yes.
Who is Tariq Fawad Malik? Have you heard of this name before?
Who's sorry? Tariq Malik.
Fawad Malik.
Yeah, Tariq Malik was one of the people who Sandy Evans found conspired with the NAB and the government of Pakistan to defraud Broadsheet. And the cheek of the man was he wrote to the liquidator asking for his cut of the award. And obviously it was not worthy of response because he's the man who testified against Broadsheet, having engaged in a conspiracy to defraud Broadsheet, as Sir Anthony Evans discusses. So Tariq Malik was, I don't know where he is, but he was one of the people who was involved when Mr. Amir Bilal Sufi came, and I told him that I told Mr. Sufi he could not settle with Broadsheet, he could settle with IAR because Broadsheet was at the time in liquidation, and I was restoring it back to the register, appointing a liquidator, and that they should not think they're going to get away with it because they're not, because I would not let it go. Okay. This is an issue of corruption. And so he was one of the people with Jerry James who took the money and ran. And the government of Pakistan thought, okay, they've managed to quash a $500 million claim by a token payment, $1.5 million. And Sir Anthony expresses some considerable skepticism about the settlement, and he said it was a sham and they should have seen to it. His judgment's damning. He said it was a deliberate, uses the word deliberate, attempt.
But you said, Mr. Maswi, you said you didn't buy what Mr. Tariq Fawad Malik was selling to you?
I didn't what, sorry?
You didn't buy what Mr. Tariq Fawad Malik was trying to sell you, regarding an agreement or contract or cut, whatever it was?
Mr. Malik had nothing to do with this at that stage. He was gone. It was years ago he had gone. He suddenly turned up again with Jerry James and sat across the table with Amir Bilal Sufi and cut this fraudulent deal. That's what I had nothing to do with.
Okay, Amir Bilal Sufi. And what time is that? What year was that? What month was that? Do you remember?
This is April, May 2007.
Okay, 2007. Okay. So that was the time when you were already in litigation with the Pakistan government regarding the contract with the Broadsheet.
I had instructed the...
Okay.
Yes, the law.
Now there is a lot of conversation with Mr. Ali. Can you tell us that who is Mr. Ali? Is he the barrister in London, one of the famous barristers?
Well, Mr. Ali was, I took him in good faith because he's introduced to me by a very dear friend of mine who has integrity. And in good faith, he came to talk about seeing if we can resolve this thing. And I was willing to see him. And we had a conversation, several conversations. It didn't go very far. And that was the end of it.
So you agree what Mr. Ali was telling you, that he is in contact with Prime Minister Imran Khan, he is in contact with Mr. Shahzad Akbar, he is in contact with Mr. Asad Umar, and he was also in contact with the then Major General Inter-Services Intelligence, Mr. Faiz, General Faiz?
Well, at least Mr. Zafar Ali had the benefit of being a lawyer. The other people who had approached us were not lawyers. I mean, this fake general, and I'm not saying he's a general. In fact, there's considerable evidence he's not. He wasn't a lawyer, and this Anjum Dar wasn't a lawyer. At least this time we were dealing with a lawyer who knew his left hand from his right hand. So I had no reason to doubt the integrity of what he was saying to me. But the point is, it didn't get very far.
But who is General Malik? who offered you that, like, he'll get all the contacts on board, and there was a senior delegation visiting in London, and you met him at Hampstead on 13th October 2019, probably, at the Café Rouge?
Yes. Well, that's a question the government of Pakistan should have investigated when I brought this to their attention. It's a bit rich to require me to answer who he was. I gave a full description of who he was, and I was very keen to discuss him with Shahzad Akbar. He wasn't interested. I was very keen to discuss the $1 billion. He wasn't interested. Just like a carpet merchant, he was interested in trying to get a discount from a court award. It's complete nonsense.
Why did Mr. Ali at one point said that it's not possible because the government officials are not taking him seriously, and now it's up to you? And then you were approached by other officials that included Shahzad Akbar and the other officials like Major General Malik, and I don't know who. What is the full name of Mr. Major General Malik?
Well, it makes me suspicious because, Mr. Zafar Ali was a Queen's Counsel. He was a serious lawyer, and I thought they would listen to him. But clearly, the crooks, the other side, who were running NAB at the time, tried to push him aside in order to cut a deal with me. I'm not in the business of cutting deals that involve deals under the table with paying bribes, and so they didn't get very far. This guy Malik, look, let me make it clear on the record. Through your camera, I am not accusing the Pakistani military. I am not accusing anyone in the Pakistani military of having any association with this man who obviously is clearly a crook, this man who pretended to be a general. I think giving himself a title of a general would have enhanced his credibility. And I must say, if a general phones you and says, I'm with the delegation, I've come to talk, you take it seriously. And he showed some documents which suggested that he was serious, but the minute he suggested taking a bribe, I said, thank you very much, end of the story.
Okay. Now, on page 5 of this 13-page letter, there is a mention of $1 billion that actually you discovered and you informed to the government. $1 billion had left Saudi by wire transfer to a bank account in Southeast Asia to the order of Nawaz Sharif. You conveyed this information to the government of Pakistan. Do you know where that $1 billion is now? Because we understand if that was somewhere part of the deal, and that is why we believe that Mian Nawaz Sharif was allowed to leave Pakistan in 2019, November 2019.
I am in no position to pass judgment on that. It just looks very suspicious that the government of Pakistan showed no interest, none whatsoever. The government of Pakistan showed no interest, none whatsoever in even looking at that issue. If I were to phone you and say, I found $1 billion that potentially belongs to you, the first thing you do is phone me back and find out what that's about. They never did that. Never. And when I met the minister, I raised it with him. He showed no interest. Never. So those are the questions.
The minister was Dr. Shahzad Akbar, Barrister Shahzad Akbar.
These are questions that should be addressed to him, not to me. Why didn't he do that?
I'm asking you, you informed all these details to Mr. Barrister Shahzad Akbar, who was the advisor to Prime Minister on accountability.
Well, the government of Pakistan showed no interest. They didn't go after it. And it's a bit rich today when this whole thing is blown up. And at my insistence, the judgment of Sir Anthony Evans has been made public for them to pretend to be holier than thou. And they're more Catholic than the Pope now, pretending that they are very clean and very well. If they were, they should have asked these questions earlier. But I'm delighted they're asking these questions, and I'm delighted that they're going to investigate, or maybe they're going to investigate, I don't know. But what I do know is they showed no interest whatsoever at the time. And that's pretty telling, isn't it?